Ladies and gentlemen, call this meeting to order, the Mayor and Board of Commissioners for July the 12th. Can I get the roll call, please?
Commissioner Braun?
Here.
Commissioner Pearson?
Here.
Commissioner Warnick? Let the record show you do have a quorum.
We rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You bow your heads with me for a brief prayer. Father God, I come to you tonight on behalf of our town, Lord. I ask that you watch over our citizens, be with this elected body and their families, Lord, be with our police department. Watch over our first responders, Lord, and our troops serving here and overseas. In Jesus' name, amen.
Mr. Mayor, could you include the family of Ray Blakely Sr. in there? Because a long-time life member of the fire.
If we could have a moment of silence for Ray Blakely. He was a integral part of the community fire company of Rising Sun. Many years he was a fire police officer along with his wife and helped with countless town events. Thank you. All right, we have an executive session report. Town Administrator, do you have that, please?
Yes, I do. Prior to this meeting, July 12th, 2022, the mayor and commissioners met in executive session. The meeting, a motion was made by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Braun at 6:05 p.m. to open the meeting. Present was Mayor Marion, Pauline Brown, and Augie Pearson. That vote passed 2-0. A motion to hold an executive session was made by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Braun. That motion passed 2-0. The reasons for the executive session was to as we all know, there are 14 reasons why the elected body can meet in executive session. The first reason, item number 3, is to consider the acquisition of real property for public purpose and matters directly related thereto. Number 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And number 8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The persons at the meeting was Town Attorney Jay Gullo, Town Administrator Calvin A. Bonenberger Jr., and Chief Peterson. The motion was made by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Braun to seal the minutes of the meeting. That vote passed 2-0. A motion was made by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Braun to leave the executive session. That motion passed 2-0. A motion was made by Commissioner Pearson, seconded by Commissioner Braun to adjourn the meeting. That motion passed 2-0, and the meeting was adjourned at 6:56 p.m.
Thank you. Town Administrator, I do notice that we do have a lot of business meeting items, so I'm going to go ahead and amend the agenda. And Chief, if you are ready to go, we'll go ahead and do the introduction and swearing in along with the promotions.
Where do you want to do them?
Do you want to do the promotions or the swearing in first?
We're going to do the introduction first.
Okay.
Stephen Ward. Just so you all know, Stephen had applied for us how many years ago? 5, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and has the desire to become a police officer for a long time. He went through several parts of the background check and even dropped out of some of the processes for other agencies so he could come to Rising Sun. His background was, one of the stellar ones that we've gone through, and he should be starting the academy on August 1st. Okay, so he's here tonight just so we can introduce him as one of our next new officers. And this is Stephen Moore. Welcome to Rising Sun. Thank you. Cunningham. You want to stand on this side? Raise your right hand, please.
All right, repeat after me. I, Joseph Cunningham, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I, Joseph Cunningham, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of Rising Sun Police Officer
execute the office of Rising Sun Police Officer
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful looking gown there, right?
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
All right. Officer Stickney, could you come up, please?
No idea.
All right. Over the course of numerous years, you've demonstrated an ability to lead less experienced officers. Your overall job performance has created a standard for younger officers to emulate. Your knowledge and desire to serve has placed you in a category where others wish to achieve. Therefore, effectively July the 12th, 2021, you are promoted to the rank of corporal. I'd like to thank you for your hard work and dedication to making the town of Rising Sun a safer place to live.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, boss. Congratulations. Good. Thank you.
All right, Officer McKinney. Officer McKinney, over the course of numerous years, you have demonstrated a tremendous base of law enforcement knowledge. Officers of all levels often ask you for assistance when handling complex cases. Your willingness to demonstrate community policing tactics are admirable. Your efforts to educate young people as a DARE instructor demonstrates your compassion for mankind. Therefore, effective July the 12th, 2021, you are promoted to the rank of corporal. I would like to thank you for your hard work and dedication in making the town of Rising Sun a safer place to live.
All right, thank you. Thanks. Hell yeah!
All right, you want to do this one?
I guess.
Okay.
Daniel Stickney. You need tissue now? Because I know you don't like surprises, therefore this one's a surprise. For the last, how long have you been here?
09, I believe,
And you've got like 25 years of service?
somewhere around there.
You can acknowledge that. That's admirable. Many police officers don't go that long. With the exception of McKinney. He's got
And you.
37 years of law enforcement experience.
And what do you have?
I got a little bit. It's not about it. But the fact is, if there's ever a need that the town of Rising Sun has, he will jump in, pitch in any way. He never wants an hour to be uncovered patrolling in the town of Rising Sun. In the year 2021, he spent more time here probably than he did at home because he wanted the people of Rising Sun to be safe. We've got one of the lowest crime rates. I don't like to boast about that because that can change in a minute. But it's all because of his efforts along with the other two officers in the back of the room. But for the year of 2021, Daniel Stickney is the officer of the year for 2021. Thanks.
All right. Current officers, new officers, we have a lot on the agenda, so you do not have to stay. We're going to go ahead and move into business meeting items. Thank you so much for being here. First on the agenda is Resolution 2022-13, which is an Ethics Board appointment. Town Administrator, do you have that?
Yes, I do. So this is pretty much straightforward. We have volunteers that serve on various boards. Those boards have limits of their terms serving on the board, and when they come due, we either have to reappoint those individuals or find new individuals to serve on those boards. So what you have in front of you here now is Resolution 2022-13 titled Town Ethics Board Reappointment. If it satisfies the board, I'll read that into the minutes.
Please do, thank you.
Okay. Whereas the town located in Cecil County, Maryland is a municipality organized under the provisions of the Maryland Constitution and governed under the provisions of the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland. And whereas the town is proclaimed as a perpetual entity with the right to pass laws. And whereas the Code of Ordinances of the town contains Chapter 2 titled Administration and Government, which establishes the general guidelines associated with the proper administration of affairs and businesses for the town of Rising Sun, Maryland, in accordance with the town charter and other applicable federal and state laws. And whereas this chapter contains Article 6 titled Ethics Provisions, which establishes the town's ethics policies and the establishment of a three-member ethics board, and further establishes the membership terms of appointment, removal, establishment of chairperson, legal counsel, responsibilities and authority, removal from office. And whereas this section specifically calls for terms of appointment, and whereas the term of existing board member Andrew Snyder has expired, and the mayor and commissioners wish to reappoint Mr. Snyder to the town's ethics board and to serve in that position until June 30th of 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and commissioners of the town of Rising Sun pass, approved, and adopted this resolution on this 12th day of July 2022.
Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 2022-13?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 22-13, the Town Ethics Board reappointment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion about the appointment? We thank Mr. Snyder for being willing to serve on our ethics board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Thank you. All right, Board of Zoning Appeals reappointments. Town Administrator, do you have that?
Yes, I have it. The lead-in is basically the same. It's another term on, actually two individuals whose terms have expired or will be expiring on the town's Board of Zoning Appeals. If the board would like, I'll read this resolution.
Please do, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to skip the first three whereas because it's the same as the last one. The fourth one, whereas this chapter contains Article 2 titled Organization of Government, which establishes the various responsibilities of the mayor and commissioners, creation and structure of various staff positions, appointment, consultants, departments, and appointed boards that handle the day-to-day administration of the town government and as set forth by the annotated Code of Maryland Town Charter and Town Code. And whereas this article contains Section 2-209 titled Creation and Administration of a Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, which further establishes the creation of a Board of Zoning Appeals, their membership, terms of appointment, removal, vacancy, meetings, rules of conduct, and records. And whereas the term of existing board member Joe Scaliak and Skip Yost have expired, and the mayor and commissioners wish to reappoint both individuals to the town's Board of Zoning Appeals as follows. A, Joe Scaliak shall be reappointed to the Board of Zoning Appeals and shall serve in this position until June 30th of 2024. Item B, Skip Yost shall be reappointed to the Board of Zoning Appeals and shall serve in this position until June 30th, 2025. Therefore, be it further resolved that the mayor and commissioners of the town of Rising Sun pass, approved, and adopted this resolution on the 12th day of July, 2022.
Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 2022-14?
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2022-14, Board of Zoning Appeals reappointments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? I want to thank Mr. Scaliak as well as Mr. Yost, who came out today, even with this horrible weather. Thank you so much for coming out and being willing to serve. We really appreciate it. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you. Resolution 2022-15, official zoning map adoption. Town Administrator, do you have that?
Yes, I do. Essentially, in the resolution is going to spell this out. But if you recall, back in March, we began the process, or actually the mayor and commissioners picked up their portion of the process to do some of the work that was spelled out in the town's master comprehensive plan. Part of what was spelled out in that plan was to reclassify some of the existing properties in town with new zoning designations. And the mayor and commissioners, after a public hearing and some other discussions, adopted ordinance 2022-02 on May 10th, making those changes to the zoning of certain properties in the town of Rising Sun. However, our town code basically specifies that the new zoning classification does not take effect until those properties are properly reflected on the town's official zoning map, which you have attached here. And I'll just hold it up so the audience can see. All of these colored polygons represent different zoning classifications of properties, and there's a handful in here that were reclassified. So if the mayor and commissioners adopt this resolution tonight, formally making this map the official map of zoning map for the town of Rising Sun, then the reclassification of zoning will officially take effect. If you would like, I'll read the resolution.
Can you go ahead and read that in the record, please?
Okay, so I'm going to skip the first couple boilerplates. I'm going to go down to those third whereas. As provided for in the land use article of the annotated code of Maryland, Division 1, titled Single Jurisdiction Planning and Zoning, titles 1 through 13, Title 4, titled Zoning, Subtitle 1, titled Powers, Section 4-101, titled Statement of Policy, establishes as a statement of policy that the orderly development and use of land and structures requires comprehensive regulation through the implementation of planning and zoning controls, and that those controls shall be implemented by local government. And whereas in addition to the above, Section 4-202, titled Zoning Regulations Adoption Purposes, provides the mayor and commissioners with the authority to adopt zoning regulations in accordance with the town's comprehensive plan and with reasonable consideration for, among other things, the character of the district or zone and its suitability for particular uses, and with a view to conserving the value of property and encouraging orderly development and the most appropriate use of land. And whereas the Code of Ordinances of the town contains Chapter 12, titled Town of Rising Sun Zoning Ordinance, which establishes the intent and authority of the zoning ordinance and to promote the orderly development of the town of Rising Sun, Maryland, in accordance with the Rising Sun Comprehensive Plan or any of the component parts thereof. And whereas in June of 2019, the town of Rising Sun adopted a document titled Town of Rising Sun Comprehensive Plan, with the general purpose of guiding and accomplishing the coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the town, and to promote best practices for health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, and general welfare, and shall serve as a guide to public and private actions and decisions to ensure the development of public and private property and appropriate relationships, and shall include any areas outside of the town boundaries which have been identified as part of the town's designated growth area. A part of this process is the review and proposal of land use designations to be contained in the comprehensive plan and incorporated into the town's zoning code. And whereas while addressing proposed changes for the land use designations for the town's comprehensive plan, changes in the existing designation of zoning classifications on properties within the entire town of Rising Sun were reviewed and discussed based in part on the following criteria: population change, adequacy of public facilities, present and future transportation patterns, compatibility with existing and proposed development for the area, fiscal impact upon town government, and the suitability of the property in question to the uses permitted under the existing and proposed zoning classifications, and the overall comprehensive plan of the town of Rising Sun. And whereas the mayor and commissioners, having monitored, supported, and fostered the town of Rising Sun's planning commission's efforts to update and amend the comprehensive plan, have reviewed their findings and recommendations contained therein as a basis for a phased process of initiating comprehensive rezoning. And whereas the mayor and commissioners, having followed state and town guidelines on implementing the changes spelled out in the town's comprehensive plan, and upon holding the required public hearings, adopted ordinance 2022-02 on May 10th, 2022, for the purposes of amending the zoning classification of certain properties as spelled out in the town's comprehensive plan. And whereas section 12-110 of the above zoning code, titled Official Zoning Map, states in part that no amendment to this ordinance which involves matters portrayed on the official zoning map shall become effective until after such change and entry has been made on said map. Therefore, be it resolved that the changes spelled out in ordinance 2022-02 have been officially incorporated into the town's official zoning map is hereby attached. And therefore, be it further resolved that the mayor and commissioners of the town of Rising Sun have passed, approved, and adopted this resolution on this 12th day of July 2022 and have accepted this revised zoning map as the official zoning map of the town of Rising Sun, and that all zoning reclassifications previously spelled out in ordinance 2022-02 shall now officially take effect.
Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2022-15, the adoption of our town zoning map?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-15, adoption of town zoning map.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Resolution passes. Thank you. All
I
right.
was ready.
Public presentations. We don't have any tonight. Would anyone like to speak this evening? Anyone? Moving forward into staff reports. Town administrator.
We have new houses being built down on Mount Street. There's one that the slab was just recently poured on. I see that all the lumber was delivered to the property, so they're going to start framing that up. There's another property in Maple Heights, Lot 6, which is next to the veterinarian clinic. We're having a pre-construction meeting with that entity tomorrow, and I would imagine that in about the next 2 weeks, weather permitting, they will be digging the foundation for that property, and that will be underway also. We have still having a lot of land development inquiries going on in town. There's still a lot of people who want to invest in the town of Rising Sun that are reaching out about different commercial spaces, what they could do there. The other thing we're running into that I think is rather interesting is we're getting a lot of people outside of the town of Rising Sun not realizing that they're not in the incorporated limits of the town of Rising Sun. So in all due respect, I think it's important to remind some folks that just because you're in the 21911 zip code of Rising Sun does not mean that you're in the incorporated limits of Rising Sun. And we've had people reach out to us as far as out on 272 on some of the roads that cut from 273 over that have had some concerns with property owners out there and have gotten very upset when I've told them that we don't have any jurisdiction on any of those properties out there. And they've gotten really vocal. I actually was accused of being a lazy public servant looking for a reason to not enforce codes out on that particular road. So, we've had that. We've had people as far down as Browntown, over on Johnson Highway off of, Conowingo, or, Connolly Road, upset about some vacant houses over there, wanting us to do something about it. We've had some people that have called, wanting to know if they can connect to the town's water and sewer, and not understanding that we don't have any water and sewer out there, wanting to know when we will be providing that water and sewer out in those areas. We've had a property just outside of town. I've received 3 phone calls now wanting to know what the building permit requirements are for putting an addition on their house. And they even went as far as, okay, I know it's not in town limits, but can you still tell me what the process is? And it's like, yeah, call Cecil County. Well, what's the process going to be? Well, call Cecil County and they will tell you. So there's just a lot. I think, if anything, the takeaway out of that is there is a lot of things happening in and around the town of Rising Sun. We talked before about houses are selling. They're selling above market value. They're selling within hour, 2 hours, a couple days of being put on the market. There are a lot of positive things happening that are, people want to be a part of the town of Rising Sun. Even when they're located in the county, they want us to come out and regulate things. So that's all I have to report.
Chief?
There have been no significant trends that have occurred in the last 2 weeks, and we're still just staying steady with trying to make sure that the streets of Rising Sun are safe and citizens can go about their way of lives without any encumbrances by criminals. And that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Assistant Town Administrator.
Not a lot that I'm going to report on tonight, it's just that Public Works has been really dedicated to what they're working on right now. The stop sign's open at Wilson. They're going to be paving the blacktop back where the sidewalks were repaired. There's got 5 different locations that they're working on that they're going to try to do tomorrow if the weather permits. And that's some of the holdups they have is weather permitting. So financially, I was going to try to do year-end statements, but I decided to wait until the next meeting so that we could get more of a close of the year. So other than that, everything's really good.
All right, we don't have our town attorney tonight. Moving forward into the mayor's report. My report is pretty brief. You may have seen the Cecil Wig news article about what is brewing at Sue's Restaurant. On behalf of our elected body, we are excited to announce that we will be adding Hatchers on Main, which will be a breakfast/event spot. They have started with their renovations. We are looking forward to having yet another new business join our Main Street. I know this board has been dedicated to working hard on filling what was once a very vacant Main Street. I also wanted to say a huge congratulations to the Rising Sun Community Little League. Tonight, I believe they're playing right now. The senior boys are playing in Berlin.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night for their championship game, and that is for the state championship. So we're wishing them all the best. That is the end of my report. Commissioner Braun.
I have no report.
Commissioner Pearson.
I have something to bring up to the board. I received a message today from the people on Hopewell Road, the Goins family. Their property, it borders the town park, and there's a pond there, or I haven't been down, so I can't tell you what it is exactly, but there's a water feature there. They're having a problem with the children getting into that and destroying the property. I'd like to get with you, Calvin, and see what we can do as far as maybe putting some signage up and working on trying to help them along. They do not want to fence it because it's useless property to them, and they have horses that they'd rather keep in their confines with the fence. So it's something that you and I need to discuss, okay?
Okay.
Outside of that, I welcome the new officers and promotions. And I'm glad we've got more people. That's it. Mr.
Upcoming town meetings, our next town meeting will be July the 26th, followed by August the 9th. Upcoming holidays obviously are a little bit further away. Election Day is coming up on the 19th. Polls open at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Trash, recycling, and yard waste schedule is below. You can see that on the agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.